Okay, I think I'm recording. Let's see. Yes, I am recording. So I'm recording me. So this is class. We're in a field. It's exciting. First off, if you haven't done it yet, send me an email with the building that you want to do your case study on. I just need an email saying I want to do this building. The case study is due on Tuesday. I've gotten a bunch of them. I've been turning them over. I did a batch last night late. I did a batch on Tuesday right after class. And already people have asked for duplicate buildings, and I've said, no, you can't do that building, pick something else. So don't just pick a building and go, you gotta approve it with me. Second, the question came up when the tutorials are due, because I think I said in the syllabus they're usually due Fridays. I'm never gonna look at them before Sunday. So I figure, give everybody Saturday too. I'm sorry if that screws up your Saturday. Feel free to hand it in on Friday if you want. I don't care. But tutorials will always be due Saturdays at midnight. Quizzes will be due Fridays at midnight. Anything else? I put up a couple of videos today on Canvas, or actually 3 videos to watch. They are walkthroughs of buildings in New York by Architectural Digest. We'll talk about them on Tuesday, but they will help with your case study. So one is the Plaza Hotel, one is the New York City Public Library, and one is Grand Central Station. So, and guess what? You can't pick those buildings. So don't try and pick those buildings. Let's see, anything else business-wise? Any questions, problems people are having? John seems on top of things. He said he would be here if he could, so you could place a face to the typing and the voice, but I guess he didn't make it. Okay, so let's look at Fuller. I'm going to turn this around. So you've all been reading McMansion Hell. Let me make sure. So we've got 2 things going on here, right? We got our red brick with windows, and we've got this kind of cement and glass and steel tower. And think about this. I'm going to pan down to the wall. It says Fuller Laboratories. There are people standing in front of it. But this is supposedly the front, the main facade of the building, right? Even though the vast majority of traffic comes in on the other side. Hey, Henry. This is the forward face of the building. What are your thoughts? You guys get to bellow too. That's why we're here. Ew. Well, okay. We got two things that, do they go together? The cement tower, the glass and steel, and the red brick? It's not terrible. What about balance? I can't hear you when you're face away from me, Henry, so you gotta... Okay, yeah, okay, I'm not sure I heard you anyway, but I think what he's saying is this is visually heavy, right? And this is visually long, right?
Yeah.
So
Also, having
does cave in balance?
to some extent, we got this giant brick mass, we got this
Okay, so we've got so we've got this brick wall and we've got this brick wall, and we break it up with our tower, right? In fact, coming from this side of the street, we can't even tell that these are two buildings because of the foliage. It looks like all one complex. Anybody know, I was thinking about this week. All our buildings are red brick. Lots of colleges are made of red brick, right? But not Foisey. Foisey is glass and steel, but it's still got red brick on the side towards the campus center.
Actually, no, I thought it was just siding.
Is it?
No, it's got brick.
Does it? Okay.
I'm like
Yeah,
90% sure it has some amount of brick in it.
So, I looked up red brick colleges, right? Because I've been wondering about it. If you go to other colleges, they're made of red brick too. The red brick with white columns is indicative of colonial architecture, what's known as Georgian architecture, because in the 18th century, late 18th century, all the English kings were named George. So we get from George the First through George the Fourth, Georgian architecture. So we're in New England. So when we think New England architecture, we think the red brick with the white columns. That's very much Boston colonial look. And so I thought, okay, well, but that doesn't say college, that says New England. But you can go to colleges. I looked, and like there was a controversy at the University of Tucson because the new building didn't have any red bricks in it, and part of their look and feel for their campus, they wanted all buildings to have red bricks. Did I see a hand? No. Okay. So it's not just New England, it's college, right? So then I'm thinking, well, but why does red brick say college to us? And I came back to in the 18th century, there's basically one college in New England called Harvard, and maybe that's why, because everybody wants to look like Harvard, right? The Georgian New England thing, it is prototypical college. So then I started looking up, is everybody trying to look like Harvard? And I can't see it. I mean, yes, there's the Georgian thing. It's also usually very symmetrical. It's there would be a tower in the middle and two wings, one on either side, with very symmetrical windows. But then I found so the other thing that doesn't read is that, well, WPI was founded in 1865, and when WPI was built, it was Boynton Hall. That was the only building that was WPI. That was WPI. So, but if you look at Boynton Hall, it's not red brick. It's gray rock. It's neo-Baroque, neo-Gothic. I don't know. I read it this morning, and it's neo something. But see, that's what happens is when later architects bring a style of building back in fashion, they stick neo in front of it and call it the same thing. So what actually happened is in the 1880s, there were 8 colleges all built about the same time in England. And they were known as the secular colleges because normally earlier colleges you would have to be of a particular religion, either Protestant, Catholic, well, I don't know, but there were big ties between religion and various colleges, right? So if you go to Notre Dame nowadays, you're going to a Catholic college. Holy Cross across town is a Catholic college. The 1880s were the first secular colleges that were they were science and engineering based, right? So it was the dawn of engineering colleges, the dawn of the Polytechnic. And at the time, neo-Georgian architecture was in fashion, and they were all made in the Georgian style with red brick. So suddenly there were a bunch of kind of STEM colleges all over England. And they were all made of red brick. They were known as the red brick colleges. And part of that look was if you want to say, hey, we're a college that's about science and engineering, you built your buildings out of red brick. So I don't know if that's exactly, because fads and fashions come and go, but that red brick thing stayed around, and most colleges nowadays, or at least in New England, have this red brick look. Some have a distinctly not red brick look. They want to look like their own thing. I know Vassar really goes for the gray stone granite look. But red brick is cheap and easy and sturdy, and once you start building buildings, it's easier to build more. Okay, so I'm gonna pause recording. Okay, so we just came up that walk. You can basically see the end of the red brick, and then we've got this kind of gray siding that looks totally different. It's not the cement of the tower, it's not steel and glass, it's kind of, I don't know, what would you call that? Great, what?
Ugly.
Ugly?
It looks very much like an add-on.
It looks like it's something sticking out from the side of the actual building.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like a mini building that was kind of a module that slides into the rest of the building, right? What is it?
It's part of Flupper, right?
It's part of what?
Flupper.
Fuller Upper, yes, and Fuller Lower. So once upon a time, that was one big auditorium. And there are doors that let out along the alleyway here. Has anybody ever gone out those doors? Yeah?
Like once during movie night.
A few times, yeah.
Yeah, actually, like every time I finished like a racket test, I'd be out that door right after I was done.
Okay. Okay, well, then you've used them more than I have. I don't think I've ever used any of those doors my entire 26 years here. So, oh, I also want to point out, can you see the cornerstone of the building? When was this building made? 1988. That was when the cornerstone was laid. The building actually opened 1990. So it's been here 30 years, give or take. So the idea was that Upper Fuller and Lower Fuller, when it was built, was one big theater, one big lecture hall and meeting space that we would somehow fill with spectators for either movies or speakers or, I don't know, improv shows or what have you, rock and roll bands. And in order to get all those multitudes of people out after the show in a safe way, there's got to be enough exits for them to get out on either side in case, fire breaks out. So that's part of what's going on there, is that big thing. But we've already, that's changed in the 30 years since this building was built. We no longer have Perot Hall. We now have Upper Fuller and Lower Fuller, or Upper Perot and Lower Perot, because it was a terrible space for any kind of performance. The sound was not great. If you were in the back, everything was a mile and a half away, and the rake, the angle that the theater was at, was very, very steep. And I never went to a movie in there, but I never saw it full. Maybe a very popular movie. Why do you think they went with the gray paneling to separate that section rather than the red brick of the rest of it? Any ideas? What else? What else is there? What's your name?
Well, I originally thought because it was original. Was it always played when it was the auditorium, or was that changed?
No, as far as I know, it's always been like that.
Well, maybe it's just because it was supposed to be like an auditorium and not related to STEM. It was a different component.
Maybe.
Looking over there, that makes a contrast against everything else around.
Yeah, it does. It certainly makes it look different. I guess the floor plan, this is not your basic square building. It's got all sorts of little outposts and juts and stuff. Did you hear anything while we were walking up here?
Wasps.
Wasps? I would say I heard the HVAC going. That's where all the HVAC is. So one of the things that gray paneling is hiding is all the various HVAC machines that's on top of that roof. So it's kind of smart because they preserved the size of the roof more or less. They didn't put the giant machines on top of the rest of the building's roof. They're accessible from the top floor, and they're still hidden, right? So that's purely kind of a functional thing, but good planning on their part. This tower here mirrors the tower in the front. You notice the owl? You ever see the owl before?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody sees the owl? Is that a thing they do on tours?
No. I think it's one of the first things you notice when you look up.
Really?
I never looked up. I never saw it before.
Honestly, yeah. It was like years before somebody said, hey, there's an owl up there.
Once you notice it, you very much later.
Yeah. That is essentially so that pigeons don't sit up there and poop on you as you go in and out of the doorway. notice we've got steel beams showing as the roof and the lintel of the tower here, and we're into steel and glass again. That's getting back to our engineering roots, right? The exposed steel. And we read an awful lot about columns in McMansion Hell. How are these columns?
They're missing the stuff. They're missing like having any sort of big beams or anything above them, but
Right.
they feel they're adequately supported.
Right. So they're wide enough for how tall they are. We don't have a pedestal. We don't have what's the top of it? The colonnade. I am not an architect. If I were an actual architect, I would know all this off the top of my head. Why don't those columns go, say, all the way up to that steel beam?
I feel like it's more of an aesthetic thing.
Okay. But we could have made an aesthetic thing that went all the way up to the steel beams, right?
If we went all the way up to steel beams, there wouldn't be like.
But I mean, when I'm going into a lecture hall, my vision is like right here. So
Right.
the actor's like where my vision is.
Okay. Remember, the taller we make the columns, the more solid they have to look. I believe it's 6:1 diameter. So the taller we make our columns, the thicker they have to be to at least to even give us the illusion of being able to support whatever they're supporting. If we go all the way up to the steel beam, it doesn't look like they're supporting much of anything, right?
Obviously, you're losing all that cool embellishment too.
Right. So we've got these. Notice these stripes go all the way around the building.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that's about? Is that just purely decorative?
It also makes it stand out from all the other buildings. Like, I don't think any of the buildings
We've got over here on AK. We've got this thing along the second floor,
zigzag.
right?
Yeah, it's like different buildings have like different flavors. Right?
Right. Well, what does it tell us? Yeah. It demarcates the first floor from the second floor, or actually, the second floor from the third floor. So it gives us a perspective on how big this building is, right? It tells us, oh, this is 2 floors. It also breaks up this monolithic wall, right? It's just flat wall. Other than that, we don't have any windows here. And we've got windows here. Is this balanced?
Not really. Having this extending off the side kind of helps kind of balance, but it's still a little bit odd.
Yeah. Where's the center point of the building? Where would you draw the center line? Wouldn't it be on this side of the door? Is the center? On the right side of the door. Sorry for those of you following along at home. We've got kind of the windows on one side with the tower and the windowless wall on the other side. Yeah?
Also, at least now, like when you're approaching it, you're never approaching it kind of on, at least in any. So you either come this way and you see that side of it, or you're coming that way and you see that way.
Right. So we're always coming from corners. The other thing to think about is the site, right? What if you take the building away? What do we got? Worcester. We got a hill, right? We could have flattened this out and built up, but why? It's easier to build down than build up, right? We don't have the magical bulldozer tool that we do in all our 3D engines. So it's easier to dig down. It's less energy, less money. So why not dig down, right? So we only have, how many floors are in Fuller?
Well, including the basements or?
Sure, 4? Yeah, because we've got 3, a basement and a sub-basement, right? But we only have, so the 3 that are above ground start at the bottom of the hill,
Yeah.
right? So we only have 2 above ground over here. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Because it also kind of feels like there's much more below ground to the first floor than, is it 2 floors?
No,
It is 2 floors.
It is 2 floors because basement is ground level down there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we've got 4 floors and then the sub-basement that is entirely underground. So the basement is actually the doors that we were standing next to down there. You come in the basement, which seems odd, don't you think? Okay, so actually let's go down the stairs on this side and then walk down to the parking lot and look back up, okay? I'm gonna stop this. I'll see you all in a minute. So as we were walking down here, a bunch of people noticed something they'd never noticed before.
The turret.
There's a turret. What the hell is that?
That's another point for mention.
I mean, we just for those following along at home, there is the tower that's sticking out in front. You notice, I don't know if you can see it, but there is another sign on it that says Fuller Laboratories. This is the walkway along the side of the building. We've got a rhythm going on the windows on this side of the building. We've got basically 3. It should be. All right, it's a group of 2, then a group of 3, then a group of 3, then a group of 3, except there's a turret in the middle. That turret defies explanation.
Where even is that?
I don't know. It's the top floor. Well, it's the second floor. It's the floor that you walk in.
Is it that meeting room at the end?
The meeting room at the end is actually in the tower over here. That's Beckett, right? And that's one of the reasons why. I don't know if you've had meetings in there in like the spring or in September, but it's generally boiling hot in there. Up above on the top floor, that's a lounge, right?
Yeah.
The student lounge. How's the temperature up there? Hot. Or what about in the winter? Is it cold?
In the winter, it's just okay.
Okay, it's okay in the winter. I notice a bunch of the windows up there are cracked. Is that enraged students kicking at them?
I've always seen them like that.
I'm not sure. That it might just be problems with expansion and contraction in high and low temperatures because of the sun in the winter. That the glass can't keep up. There's a corridor. I mean, basically in this corner, isn't that the stairs?
Yeah.
So but this turret is behind the stairs, I think. I think it might be someone's office. I honestly, so looking at the rest of it, we've got another line of those gray bricks that demarcate the other floor, right? So now we've got all 4 floors kind of with a nice line through them, so you know where they are. We've got all the windows are the same except the turret. right? So there's nice symmetry there, and they're spaced in groups. So we've got a kind of rhythm of a da 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 da, except for the turret. Again, I have no idea what that turret's about. I feel like somebody paid off the architect or threatened somebody. I need a turret. The only other thing I can possibly think, but it doesn't make sense, is that that walkway below the turret has actual. You notice how the stairs come out from the building? There's shrubbery. Let's see if I can show it on the video. There's shrubbery alongside between the stairs and the building. But when you get down to the start of this little patio, you're right up next to the building. In fact, that's an emergency exit. That middle window at the bottom is a door. So the only thing I can think about the turret is it's a way to block snow and ice falling off the roof from falling and killing people walking by underneath. But the thing that
The other doors don't have it.
the other, yeah. So over here on this face, you're on your own. And coming off the tower, you're on your own. And that's Professor Moriarty. Hello. So defies explanation. Hi, we're doing an architecture walk. We're just looking. Here we go. Okay. So now we're down at the Worcester Art Museum. Okay, what are we seeing here? What's along the top? Art. Well, but look along the top.
Lions.
We got lions along the top, little gargoyle lions.
Can't miss those. There's whatever the hell is going on with that ramp.
Okay, well, we'll get to the ramp. Let's talk about the building. Because I do want to talk about the ramp. We've got some pillars, but they're what are they? Bas-relief pillars. So earlier today, I put pictures of the original building in the Discord. I don't know if everybody saw them, but if you did, is this the original entrance to the building? No. In fact, in the one picture you can see that there's a lot of, there's like a ring road between, there's like a lawn and grass that goes between the entrance to the building and Salisbury Street here. This was originally part of Salisbury Estate, and when John Salisbury, we've got all sorts of things named after him at WPI, he donated $100,000 to build the museum in Worcester in 1896. And when he died, he left his land and his fortune to the Worcester Art Museum. So on the other side of Worcester Art Museum is the Salisbury Estate, the original house. And this whole thing was farmland around here. So they've added to the original building this is not the original building. This part was added in 1933. It is what's known as Beaux Arts. The Beaux Arts style of architecture. It comes out of France. It is basically French villas gone modern as of the 20th century. So that's why you've got this kind of granite look. You've got a simpler, you've got the decorations, you've got the lion gargoyles and the classical pillars. It was a combination of neoclassical and French stripped down Rococo. So that's what's going on there. This was the entrance to the main entrance to the museum for probably 1933 through I think the 80s, something like that. Let's talk about the bridge. The bridge was added in 2015. Part of it was to become compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, so that Americans with disabilities could actually get into the front door without being carried by people. But the idea was, if we have to make a ramp, let's make it art. So you can look up pictures. The railings there, I don't know if the sides were originally brass. I mean, when you look at when this was originally built, they are brass colored, golden. I didn't think brass tarnished. But they rusted or whatever it is that's happened to them. Hello? Are we making friends? The little wheel, I mean, the whole thing looks like some kind of cart that's been wheeled up there. We've got that little circle there. That lights up at night. And there are circles in the sidewalk itself that light up. So the idea is the whole thing glows at night. I have never seen it glowing. I have driven by here at night. I have never seen that sucker lit up. So maybe that was a result of budget cuts, or maybe they just never turn it on because the Worcester Art Museum is rarely open in the dark hours. Well, I mean, I've been to like events here at night, but I don't know. So let's go over to that patch of grass so we can see that patch of grass over there, so we can see the side, and maybe we can identify where the original building was. Okay, I'm going to turn off. So that gray section there behind, so that's the front of the building. It goes back to here, and then there's that break. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an arch with different bricks, different colored bricks. They're browner. Those were the original windows in the front of the museum. And the actual museum was only that gray building part. I think even the top, if you saw the pictures I posted, it had a sloping copper roof, like the green Statue of Liberty colored copper. that seems to be gone. And I think either that sloping copper roof hid that box up there, or that box was added later. I think that box was added later. Yeah, it's much newer brick. But you can see the size of the original building. It was actually a very small museum. Let me also say that Worcester Art Museum was the premier museum in Massachusetts at the start of the 20th century. This was the best museum in Massachusetts. It had a collection of Japanese paintings and scrolls. It got all of Salisbury's art and all of Salisbury's money to buy art. And when the Boston, let me back up here, when the Boston rich people said, hey, we don't have a museum anywhere near as good as Worcester, how can this stand? They made the Boston Museum of Art. So the reason why the biggest museum in the state is there is to show up this museum. Okay, so let's try and get beyond this fence. I stopped here, everybody at home, because there's this fence, and there's this weird pyramid here that's a tent. Is that a tent or is that permanent?
It looks pretty solid.
It's solid, okay. I guess it's art. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So the last time I was here, behind that fence down there were stairs to the entrance. This is the 70s edition, which is essentially what? Yeah, it's the library area, the course area, and there are some exhibit halls this far up. Also the cafe. You know, what modern museum goers expect from a museum. Oh, okay. So, and it actually goes quite far up. This is bigger square foot wise than both the original museum and the 33 edition. I forgot to say, but the 1933 edition was specifically, and we would see this if we could go inside, but we can't go inside, because they had gotten two things. One is a chapter house, which is an old monastery. They got the chapter house from an old monastery in, I want to say, Spain, I forget. But how many of you have been in Worcester Art Museum before? Okay, about half. Okay, well, after October, you've all got free admission to Worcester Art Museum because you're students at WPI. So wander down here. When I was a student, I used to come down here and wander and between classes sit and look at a painting. But I'm weird that way. The chapter house is actually, they brought it here from Europe. They rebuilt it in a special section in that front building, and now you can walk through it as it was when it was originally built, except it's in this museum. So it's pillars and vaulted ceilings, and an explanation of what a chapter house is and what each section of the chapter house is. The other thing is what's called the Renaissance Gallery, which spreads from the front of the original building to the front of the new building. there's like a gift shop in front of it, so there's a little bit of, security and gift shop. And then you come into this giant vaulted, high-ceilinged gallery known as the Renaissance Gallery. The roof is all skylight, so you're getting natural light. And on the floor is a Roman mosaic, which a bunch of museums in New England all put together the funding to send archaeologists over to Italy to recover valuable mosaics. And then they divvied up the mosaics among them, and they're at the various museums that paid the money in New England. So it is one of the crown jewels, so to speak, of the Worcester Art Museum. It is on the floor in there. You can walk around it. You can see this original Roman mosaic. They don't say anything about what Italy had to say about them taking it back to New England. So I guess it's finders keepers. I don't know. That's a whole other kettle of fish. The wonderful thing is that the facade of the original building becomes the back wall of this gallery. And this gallery is this magnificent space that just raises your mood. It is a beautiful place, and the wonderful thing is when you come into the museum somewhere around here, the museum has a central hallway with galleries on either side of it, and that central hallway is actually kind of tight, and it goes down. You have to go downstairs to get to that central hallway, and that central hallway goes through the middle, and there's only artificial light in there. And then it opens up, just like I said the other day about the getting a claustrophobic tunnel to a wide open space. It opens up into this Renaissance gallery, and it affords you a moment of, oh my God, this place is beautiful. When you go in from the front, you don't get that same thing, because you come in and you're looking at the gallery and the sight lines aren't great because there are pillars, and you have to go through security to get past the pillars, and then you're just in the gallery, and it doesn't give you a sense of anticipation, a sense of what's ahead, a sense of mystery. It just says, okay, here's a place, right? So they, in many ways, they improved the place by this edition. I'm a little worried that the cement and the actual building of this edition was not all that great, because the stairs have apparently crumbled and been removed. And I'm not sure where they're currently letting people into the museum. It's certainly not in the old place. So let's try and go around the corner and see what we can see. I'm going to shut this down. Okay, so we're now on the opposite side of the museum, and this is where the dumpster is. This is the employees' entrance. But we get a better idea of the original building from this side. We can see the back of it at least, and we can see the 33 edition, the back of that, and then we've got this other edition here that's this kind of granite sandstone stuff on the side of the 33 edition. So we've got original building, 33 edition, This other, I don't know if this is part of the 33 edition or if it's newer than that. And this is the, I don't know, 60, 70 era edition. On the other side of this fence here is the garden. So there's a nice garden in there, and usually there's it's a sculpture garden. There's pieces of sculpture. Last I was in there were tables to eat from your museum cafe in there. There's a giant chessboard so that you could play chess with chess pieces that were this high. It's a nice little place, and probably is going to be the most popular area of the museum as it reopens. Although it's reopening October 10th, and it's going to get cold soon. October 16th is the last day of the term, so yes. So if you need a break from studying, come on down to the Worcester Art Museum. I would bet, because of this glass here, that this sandstone edition is newer than 33, but maybe they just replaced the glass. I don't know. So it looks like right now, when they reopen, they're going to be sending you in through the Salisbury Street entrance, because there doesn't seem to be any other entrance to the museum. Okay. So here we are at Higgins House, our own person. Oh, I'm losing battery. I'm sorry if we lose battery. Sorry, all you folks at home. But this is Higgins House. Just in this view, we've got three different styles of building. We've got Tudor on the left. We've got, I don't know, 12th century castle in the middle. And we've got kind of Renaissance Italy brick on the right. So this is a guy who liked Europe and wanted to bring it home and built his own little theme park that was his house. Is it balanced?
It has an extension on both sides.
Yeah, it's pretty weighted in the middle. What about our masses? The biggest mass is our doorway tower, which is theoretically a secondary mass, and the primary mass is the house itself behind it. Right. Look at the windows. Are any two windows alike? We've got some rhythm going down along here.
I see two windows that are the same.
So, and we can definitely see we've got this kind of gingerbread thing going on around the main door, which is pretty good looking. I like it. So I just wanted to point out that while we know and love Higgins House architecturally, like I asked David Sampson, who's the architecture professor here, or the art professor, what style is Higgins House? And he was like, boy, maybe Neo-Tudor? I don't know. It defies classification. It is, as usual, built and designed by people with more money than architecture backgrounds. But what I really want to talk about is the gardens and the sight lines in the gardens. So let's walk back there. So this is the original back garden. Note the columns. The only purpose there is to break up the sight lines and turn this into a kind of Greco-Roman garden. It's kind of it's kind of shaggy at the moment. Usually, if you come here in the spring or the summer, it is blooming. No, we're back on the phone. So we've got the shaggy paths on either side. We've got this kind of trellis covered with beautiful vines. We've got the Romeo and Juliet balcony up above. And we've got what is essentially a wall, but what we're doing is we're tying the house together with this kind of stage back here through the columns and the line of the roof, right? This trellis along the top of the columns. And let me just tell you, that's been restored recently. Half of those columns had crumbled, and the trellis above was gone probably a year ago summer. So they're still keeping this place up. We've got this beautiful kind of mystery entrance over here. This place is usually in shade, just like now. And you guys can't see it, but there's a secret entrance on either side that are very narrow. And when you come through, take a look. They're not secret, but they're hidden, let's say. So let's go through this cool door here, and I'll go to the end, and we can go along the paths here. Oh, we got people up here. Okay, hold it. Come on in and hold it here. So now we've blocked the sight lines of the. So look at the cool shapes we get here of that roof, and then the roof of the house beyond it, and the chimney. It's kind of gorgeous. Again, the garden itself is kind of shaggy. This is still part of the what we would call the classical garden, with these very delineated paths, and it should be clearly trimmed plants, but they've gone to shag. This is our hidden grotto. Usually there's something cool here in a bigger garden. In a more well-tended garden, there'd be a statue or a fountain or something. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is go back through the. Is there an entrance to my left, Jeff? Yeah. Is there a way out that way?
Right here.
Okay, go through there. Everybody, that's the way we're going. And then go up the path to the left. Should be a long road. And you notice the rest of the college disappears in here. So head all the way up to the fountain. Hi guys, bear with us. We'll be out of your hair in like 2-3 minutes.
Okay. That's all right.
Okay. So this is the WPI. What do they call it? The Memorial Grotto.
Doesn't say.
It's normally a pool of water here, and you see there's names. There's a name on the bench. There's plaques with names of various. This is to a place to remember WPI students who passed, generally while they were WPI students. So the idea was to have a place that was quiet and secluded from the rest of the campus, that you could come and be with yourself and be in nature, and maybe learn some names and find out what happened to them. So for instance, Ryan Patrick Jones did his humanities project with me and died in Iraq. This is a dead end, so to speak. Normally that's not what we want when we're designing spaces. We want more than one entrance. Note you just walked up at the long path up here. It takes some doing. There is, yes, another little path over there that's kind of a secret path. But once you're in here, the only way out is the way you came in. Usually the fountain is gurgling and nice. This is the first I've ever seen it not full of water when it's not winter. So I guess they're prepping for winter. Okay, so let's meander down to the lawn over here. We are not socially distancing. Way too crowded together. Hi. So this is what's known as Higgins Lawn. Used to be much bigger, used to go all the way up there. Used to go all the way down there. In fact, when they put that little parking lot in, the one that's open to the air, they said that it was temporary to make up for other parking spaces that we lost from some other construction, and that when that construction was over, they would restore Higgins Lawn down there. And when they put the fancy street lights in, the fancy street lanterns, we pretty much knew it was permanent. This was this is the kind of functional area of the gardens. It's just grass, but we can have cookouts out here. We can, for years and years, this is where Ultimate Frisbee was, along through here. I don't know if it still is. I wouldn't mind. Note that you can see the pillars and the house in the corner. You've got some really nice sight lines to a hint of, I don't know, elegance, if that's what Higgins House is. Note also, there's another secret entrance over there in the trees. That's where we're going next. And you can't see the secret entrance. That's why it's secret. So let's go through. I know you just want to sit down. You're tired. We're almost done. So we're going for the secret entrance. I love the secret entrance because it's totally out in the middle of things, but no one ever sees it. There's the secret entrance. See? We got a nice little bench here. Another bench here. So the secret exit to this little area is behind the bench. And then we've got this nice little kind of nicely manicured garden. I usually use this this little tour of Higgins Garden as examples for my Frontiers class to talk about multiplayer first-person shooters, because it's about circles. It's about being able to move from place to place and having areas where you have big sight lines and have areas where you have cramped sight lines. And then my assignment for them is always turn this garden into a multiplayer map in Unreal tournaments, which I'm not going to make you do, but it's not that hard. It's really kind of already set up as a multiplayer map for a shooter. It could use a little bit more third dimension because there's not a lot, like you've got an overlook here. You get steps up to the Juliet balcony. That might be fun. But once again, we've got hidden entrances on that side and that side. We've got this weird fence. I don't know what that is. Trust me, it's been there for years and years and years. I think it's been replaced a couple of times, but something just like it. It looks like, the thing you keep your toddler in from going down the stairs on. And it may just be a safety fence so that people don't just wander and yeah. A lot of cocktail parties happen in and around Higgins House. Let me just tell you that. As we go out here, note to the left, there's another little set of steps that go down. That's another secret entrance to what was Higgins Lawn and is now kind of a little patch of grass between Higgins Lawn and the parking lot. So just look at that, and then we'll go back out to the circle and call it a day, okay? So let's go through here. Again, we've got this nice archway that frames things and tells us we're going from one area to another. That's one way to delineate areas. Here's our little secret entrance. That's on the other side of the archway. And then we've got the path back out to the front. So, we haven't gotten to the chapter in architectural approach to level design about how to apply garden design to level design, but we will. And when we get to that chapter and you're reading it, oh, by the way, there's some of that red brick Georgian architecture on the big old Baptist church over there. Good old New England. So when we get to it, think about Higgins Garden and how it's designed and how it's put together. It's put together much like Higgins House in that it's trying to give you a little sample of a lot of types of gardens, so that here's this one kind of garden that we love and here's another kind of garden that we love, and it's a bunch of rooms in a garden that each is a different kind of thing. Obviously the memorial area came along later. And I think originally that was part of Higgins Lawn. So it was landscaped in later. But that goes back to the basic questions in architecture of what was this originally built for, what is it used for now, and how did it get from there to here? And those are the three big questions that any kind of case study has to answer. So when you're approaching your case studies, think about those three questions. There are lots more, like what was the site like before anybody built here? What problems was this built to solve? And even if that's, my wife died and I love her and I want to remember her forever. So please build me the Taj Mahal. Essentially. I gave away an answer. Somebody's taken the Taj Mahal. So that's our nice little walking tour. I hope you enjoyed coming outside, even if it's with a mask on. And I will see you on Tuesday back on Zoom. Okay, I'm stopping the